Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Week is moving.
Week is moving. It is your birth month.
Yes, it is. But like the last day of the year,
the
very end of the month. Yeah, exciting times.
Is.
I mean, it's tough to give yourself attention when you have to share it with Jesus.
I feel so sorry for your mom. Anyway, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Watchdog recalls higher risk South African cement. Kenya Airways warns of disruptions in the holiday season. And Zimbabwe shock as finance minister named best in Africa. We'll also be crossing over to Zambia to speak to Mr. Mike Sichula as he updates us on all the news making headlines that side. Stick around, we'll be right back after this short break with our top stories.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 150.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Let's get into our top stories. South African company Econo Cement has been accused of having a substandard product by the national regulator of compulsory specifications. The regulator has asked consumers and hardware stores to participate in a nationwide recall of Econo Cement's CEM V/A/S-V 32.5N product after investigations found it failed to meet the minimum requirements of prescribed strength. CEO of the NRCS, Duncan Mutengwe, said the move was in public interest to ensure the product does not pose a risk to South Africans and the economy at large. He said the NRCS had ordered the company to stop manufacturing the product and the body would also confiscate all the stocks currently on shelves.
Kenya Airways has told its customers to be prepared for potential disruptions to its flight schedule during the busy Christmas holiday season due to shortages of spare parts. The carrier, one of the biggest in Africa, said the lack of parts, which is affecting the global supply chain, would disrupt flights for about 2 weeks. These challenges are leading to extended ground time of our aircraft for maintenance, it said in a statement seen by Reuters on Monday. This may also lead to the grounding of one or more of our aircraft. The airline first flagged the problems it is grappling with due to its spare parts shortages in January this year. At the time, it attributed the shortages to the Ukraine war, which crippled the Russian supply chain for global aviation. Supply of titanium from Russia, a key raw material for the aviation industry, crucial to the maintenance of planes, had been interrupted by the conflict, the company said at the time. Kenya Airways, whose strategy hinges on connecting African travelers to the world and vice versa through its Nairobi hub, operates a fleet of Boeing and Embraer planes.
Now, many Zimbabweans have unsurprisingly reacted with astonishment after Muturi Ncube was named Best African Finance Minister of the Year, despite the country's economic turmoil. One user on X, formerly known as Twitter, said the award was akin to applauding a captain for steering a ship straight into an iceberg. Another user called it the greatest joke of the decade. Zimbabwe's unemployment rate is as high as 85%. Economists say up to 80% of transactions are carried out in US dollars because of a lack of confidence in the local currency, according to Reuters news agency. Reputation Poll International, an organization that says it manages reputations, in quotes, gave Ncube the award on Sunday. The minister, who was appointed by Emmerson Mnangagwa in 2018, told the state-controlled Herald newspaper that he was delighted to receive the honor. However, activist Hopo Chinono said on X that the award was an insult to Zimbabweans.
Getting into our next story, Britain's Foreign Secretary has warned he could withdraw cooperation with Scottish ministers if they hold future meetings without the United Kingdom present. After Scotland's First Minister Hamza Yousaf met Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. David Cameron issued the threat after Yousaf met Erdogan on the sidelines of the COP28 summit in Dubai to discuss the Gaza war. Cameron, in a letter to the ruling Scottish National Party government, said the meeting breached protocol because a UK government representative was not present. A spokesperson for USAF said a UK official had been extended an invite but could not make the visit. USAF said the meeting did not broach any topics that had not already been discussed and called Cameron petty for issuing the rebuke. Cameron wrote in his letter that should there be future protocol breaches, he would call for an office support from Scottish ministerial meetings overseas. While the UK government oversees the kingdom's foreign affairs to ensure it presents a united front, Scotland is free to independently engage on international issues within designated policy areas.
All right back to it, Mr. James Cameron. Cameroonian opposition leader Maurice Kamto was re-elected national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement on 11 December. He secured over 99% of the votes as his list stood unopposed. MRC militants gathered at the Yaoundé Sports Complex for the party's two-day convention. In a speech partly delivered in French and English, 69-year-old Kamto announced the creation of a coalition to build a peaceful Cameroon. Kamto said the Political Alliance for Change will work with Cameroonians of all backgrounds, including the supporters of the nation's current regime. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Now, in order to boost tourism flow, the Zambian government plans to abolish visas for all African countries. Here to give us a story and more is Mr. Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mr. Sichula.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much. Yes, you have rightly put it. This is according to Tourism Minister Lodney Sikumba, who says that the government is considering removing visas for all African countries to achieve the free flow and easy movement of tourists. Mr. Mukumba says this will encourage more people to visit Zambia as a tourism destination. Zambia plans to attract about 1.5 million tourists this year. And also, Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Rosie Sakara, has urged member countries, African countries, to support the free movement of the people protocol of the African Union. Ms. Sakara says this will create a united and prosperous Africa while promoting the continental integration in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. So it is hopeful that this can be accelerated because the time frame has not been indicated as to when this can be done. But according to the Minister of Tourism, he says this is something that he is pursuing religiously to ensure that the realization of attracting 1.5 million tourists and more is achieved.
All right, Mike. Now, Zambia is set to secure some significant funding from the International Monetary Fund before the end of this month. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, this is according to IMF spokesperson Julian Kozak, who says that Zambia's performance under the IMF program and the agreement in principle with official creditors on the memorandum of understanding is important to bring its renewal to the fund's board towards the end of this month. Ms. Kozak says the approval of the review by the IMF Executive Board will give Zambia access to $184 million in financing under the program. Then she says Zambia's economy is showing resilience as real gross domestic product growth is now projected at 4.3% this year and 4.7% next year. So it is hopeful that once these funds are provided, then the Zambian economy can begin to rebound. And also, it is hopeful that the exchange rate is going to stabilize, because in the past few months, the exchange rate has been going up beyond many Zambians who can afford it.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, moving on. What is the latest update on the ongoing rescue operation of the trapped miners?
Yeah, the latest update is that about 11 bodies have so far been uh, retrieved from the collapsed mining hole. Also, only one person, a 49-year-old, was recovered, rescued alive after 5 days when it collapsed. But now it is now over uh, 10 days. Then 9 bodies have been recovered dead. Then the search is still continuing because according to people that are on the ground, they're saying that they believe that there could still be more bodies trapped, and also that some of them have been exposed, they have been decomposed, so they have to wait a little bit for some time, even if when they found them, because they are fearing that if they just remove them forcibly, they could remain some body parts under the rubble. So it is expected that this exercise is likely to take a little bit more longer than what authorities had earlier stated that it could be completed within the next 2 weeks. But from the look of things, the exercise is ongoing. Just yesterday, President Hichilema attended the burial of some of them that were recovered dead under the rubble.
Still a truly saddening story. Now, in the last of your stories, the court has quashed petition to compel President Hakainde Hichilema to move from his private residence to the State House.
Yes, traditionally, whenever a president wins an election in Zambia, he moves into the state property, the State House. But this has not been the case for President Hakainde Hichilema, who was elected to remain in his private residence, what he calls the community house. So most of sometimes he holds his private meetings at his residence. That is his residence. He moved into this residence after he lost the presidency to President Lungu in 2016. So since then, he's been staying at this glass house in the background there, and he's not decided to move into State House. So normally he goes to State House just for official business, then he treks back to his house. So a number of people have been complaining that the president is spending a lot of money on fuel. That is meaning moving from his official house into the State House. So there are complaints here and there. Then one of the politicians, People's Patriot for Economic Progress, Sean Tembo, went to the courts, the Constitutional Court, to challenge what President Hichilema was doing, but the court has said there's literally nothing wrong that President Hichilema is doing. He can continue to stay in that in his residential house and is not compelled to move into State House.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sichula, for bringing us the latest news on the ground in Zambia.
Thank you so much, Africa. Good morning.
Africa, good morning indeed. Let's head to the weather predictions.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
to another exciting episode of Watchdog. We bring jou dit is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle monster kan byt.
We start our economic news stories with Niger. The export pipeline project supported by PetroChina was inaugurated on the 1st of November, connecting Niger's Agadem oil fields to the Benin port of Cotonou, Reuters reported. Tiani mentioned in an interview on Niger's RTS channel on Sunday that the storage tanks in Cotonou are currently being filled and are expected to be completed by January, marking the beginning of the commercialization phase. Niger is set to receive 25.4% of the 90,000 barrels per day slated for export through the pipeline. The country currently operates a small oil refinery with a capacity of 20,000 BPD, primarily serving the domestic fuel market. Now expressing the country's aspirations, Abdurrahmane Tiani, the military leader who assumed power following a coup in July, emphasized the goal of refining more oil locally.
The Belgian and Mozambican governments have officially approved the proposal to swap debt for actions to prevent and combat climate change. This was confirmed on the 8th of December at the Council of Ministers in Belgium. Part of Mozambique's debt to the Belgian state will be cancelled in exchange for investments in the fight against the climate crisis. The Minister for Development Cooperation, Caroline Guinness, had already officially presented the proposal to Mozambique's Minister for Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, Veronica Macamo, during her mission to Mozambique earlier this year. Mozambique's sovereign debt to Belgium, which would accumulate over the next 5 years, will be cancelled. The condition is that the money released is used to help the Mozambican people better prepare for the effects of climate change. A year ago, Belgium and Mozambique signed a new 5-year cooperation program entirely dedicated to the fight against the climate crisis. This program also includes an important loss and damage component. At the time, Belgium was the second country in the world to decide to invest in projects that help prevent future damage and losses related to climate disasters.
All right, so Mozambique owes Belgium $5 billion. Belgium says if you serve the Mozambican people to fight climate change, that debt is cancelled. Yes. And the way to serve those people is to have projects such as green hydrogen, which are projected to be worth hundreds of billions in the next couple of years, which Belgium will own. Gotta love to see it. Let's head straight to the economic indicators just before Ari joins us for the sport.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabala, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first from the English Premier League, and that's news from Everton that's doing well now. They've had their third consecutive win on the English Premier League. They beat Chelsea by 2-0 and now comfortably out of the relegation zone for now. They're in 17th position on 13 points. 18th position is Luton Town on 9 points after losing to Manchester City, and then Burnley 19th on 8 points, and then Sheffield United also on 8 points on in 20th position. Over the weekend, this coming weekend, it will be Burnley playing at home against Everton. So it's two teams that is close to relegation facing each other. That is on Sunday, or Saturday. That game will be 7:10 on Saturday. Also a big game in the English Premier League on Sunday, this coming Sunday, just after 10:06, it will be Liverpool. They're the lock leaders at the moment. They will be hosting Manchester United, a big game, big clubs and a big history in all the games between Liverpool and Manchester United. Not good news for Manchester United though, leading up to the game. It is Bruno Fernandes that will not be able to play in the game. He was suspended for one game. He got a yellow card against Bournemouth, and that was because he complained to the referee. That was his 5th yellow card for the season, and then he gets 1 game suspension. He will not be able to play against Liverpool. Other good news for Manchester United is that Casemiro, he's the influential midfielder, he's back from injury. He's been training, he was out since October, so not sure if he will be in the starting lineup, but at least for Manchester United, Casemiro is available to play. Continuing international sports news with golf news, and the inaugural Grant Thornton Insurance Invitational that was played in the USA, and it's a unique tournament. It is a combination between the PGA Men's Tour and the LPGA, a team event over 3 days in the teams of 2, and it was the winners there, Lydia Ko of New Zealand partnering with Jason Day of Australia. They came in after 3 rounds with a -26 total, 1 shot better than the Canadians Corey Connors and Brooks Henderson. They on -25. Then further down, -23, Nelly Korda and Tony Finau, they 2 Americans. So it was a unique team tournament played over 3 days, and Lydia Ko and Jason Day, the winners. And concluding today's international sports news, it is netball news, a very competitive series that was played between England and South Africa that was played at Nottingham in England. It is England winning the series by 2 goals or 2 games to 1, and it was played at Nottingham, and 6,000 people that attended the last game. It was the 3rd and final game that England won by 53 goals to 50 to win the series 2-1. Very competitive in that England won the first test by 54 to 51, and then South Africa came back, won the second test by 61 goals to 59, and it is South Africa that improved quite a lot in the last few years with netball, and it was just recently a World Cup played in Cape Town. They were ranked 6th in the world, but challenging world number 3 England all the way in the series in Nottingham. England continue with another series that they will play in January. That will start on the 20th of January to the 28th of January. 4 teams competing in that Nations Cup, they call it. It will be New Zealand, Australia, England, and then also Uganda that will play in that 4-team tournament. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
You're still with Africa. Good morning. If you're just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights. Watchdog recalls high-risk South African cement. Kenya Airways warns of disruptions in holiday season due to spare parts shortages. Zimbabwe Sharka's finance minister named Africa's best. Niger to begin oil exports via Benin pipeline in January.
Those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning, and news just in. South African musician Zahara has unfortunately died after about a week-long stay, several weeks in the hospital. We send our condolences to her and, of course, all of her fans around the world. From Diana Master and Ashwin Berry, Suresh Jakaraka.